Liquid Sky was released in 1983, and since then the main prop of the film, the UFO, was parked on the top bookshelf in my study. Then, after 30 years, one night the UFO flew off the shelf. I found it on the floor broken. I got the hint. It was time to revisit Liquid Sky. And we started with revisiting props. The props that were still in existence 30 years after the film was shot.
I was running around in the middle of the night in a miniskirt in New York in the 70s, which it was a dangerous time. From going from club to club, I would go from club to club. Wow. I don't know how I walked in those. How did I walk in those? I fell off my shoes. I was in a club after the movie was done shooting. I was in a club, and as soon as we finished all the shooting, I went to the club, and I was wearing these kind of shoes, and I fell off my shoes. And the next day I went to the hospital and they operated on me. My God. I fell off my shoes. And I never wore this kind of shoes again. So I can't wear them. The shoes of my youth.
Let's start from the beginning. First of all, about myself. I was born in Moscow, Russia, studied filmmaking there, and started my film career over there, making different kind of films, from science documentaries to TV comedies. Then, in the 1970s, my wife, Nina Kirova, who studied scriptwriting at the Moscow Film Institute, and I immigrated to Israel. Nina always was my co-producer, and she still is. In Israel, I made several TV documentaries. The first of them, Once Upon a Time There Were Russians in Jerusalem, took the first prize at the Hollywood International Festival of TV Films. I really wanted to make feature films. I knew how to make low-budget independent films, and I came to the conclusion that the best place for me to start doing this was New York. So Nina and I found ourselves in New York. And then from there, the saga of Liquid Sky started. But it started from completely different film. I got some development money for a sci-fi film, Sweet 16. I wrote a part for my idol of the time, Andy Warhol. Andy agreed to play it. Klaus Kinski agreed to play the leading part. We needed a casting director to cast all the other characters. I wanted actors who would be real representatives of New York artistic crowd.
I was asking everybody. And at one point we were invited to a party. And at that party we've met an entertainment lawyer. And of course he knew a casting director. He was a hippie, part of Beatnik's crowd, part of Andy Warhol's crowd. And lately, he's a part of New Wave scene, and he is an acting teacher who has lots and lots of students. We asked how we will meet this unbelievable person, and he said he's right here at this party. That's how we've met Bob Brady. Bob Brady, of course, was the perfect, absolutely perfect for our movie and for future Liquid Sky.
The film Sweet 16 was never shot. We failed to raise the necessary funding. Bob Brady and many of his acting students became Nina's and my friends. So I decided to write a new script, one that would be written for actors I knew, who were also friends.
I met him in like 1966, and immediately fell in love with this man who sat upon a ladder in a class at Visual Arts and held court, but had said the most brilliant things I've ever heard anybody say about acting, and especially film acting.
So what do you want?
Mr. Keene?
Yes?
I want to be an actress.
So the little girl with little experience wants to be an actress. No, I'm afraid I can't help you, Miss Danby. Thank you anyway.
Mr. Keene. Mr. Keene, I have to be an actress.
No, I'm very sad. No, I'm afraid I can't help you, Miss Danby. Don't call us, we'll call you.
Mr. Keene, you can't be so cruel. Can't you be nice? Can't you play at being nice to me?
Yes, I can play at being nice to you. Good afternoon, Miss Danby. Well, how nice of you to have dropped in. So you want to be an actress. Sit down, Miss Danby. Sit down. And leading man? A young actress who would do anything to please me. And I should play myself. And you should go out and with that in mind, come back in and improvise, all right?
Bob taught acting for years before I even met him. He was taught at the American Academy. He was a member of the mime troupe, the American Mime Theater. He taught at NYU. He taught at a bunch of places uptown. I started attending his classes and became involved with everyone he knew.
It was always different each time. He would maybe have a theme, and he would have scenes, do maybe two different works that had already been done and divided, you know, so we'd have people doing, oh, I don't know, a play, and somebody else would be doing a movie script, and then we'd shoot them both, and then afterwards he would redirect you. But the great thing about it was that there was people moving the lights and the camera, and he had you learn about the whole process. You had to be aware of the lighting and the camera, and so that prepared you for film acting.
So he really taught the actor how to work in a film. The classes were structured every Tuesday and Thursday. We met, and you had to be very committed to be involved for at least 3 to 5 hours every class session. Sometimes, especially on Thursday nights, which was scene night, we didn't get home until 2 o'clock in the morning. I live in the building, which is a big deal, and I got to be friends with everyone. We're a very tight-knit group, and we partied together and drank together and rehearsed together and acted together and did scenes and attended classes, and all of us were together in this group, in these classes, and kind of wild and crazy, but serious. It was just a whole kind of scene. That's how it happened.
Many low-budget films are not good enough because their scripts are written without consideration of casting. It is very often difficult to cast actors who are right for all parts written into a script without sufficient money to meet their financial demands. Writing a script for specialized actors gives you a guarantee of high-quality acting. I plan to use real characters and the real-life stories of the actors.
Liquid Sky was written, and I guess through going to all these classes and everything, each part was tailored for that person. Well, it was special to be in a movie in a film that, for me personally, a part was written for me. That had never happened to me, and it never happened again in my life. So that was very special for me to be able to get to work in a movie that was tailored to my talents, I guess, and it was great working with friends. You know, it was great working with your classmates and friends. So a lot of the tension or the nervousness even though you always get nervous when you're in front of a camera. It just is a natural, you know, extension of life. But working with people you knew who were rooting for you, that was very special.
I wanted to create a very stylish, theatrical film, combining two opposite styles, extreme theatricality and extreme realism. It seemed to me an attractive, interesting task. I decided to make a film about New York girl who, as a traditional Hollywood Cinderella, is looking for Prince Charming.
I was taught that my prince would come, and he would be a lawyer.
But she fails to find him among humans.
And on the weekends we would barbecue. And all the other princes and their princesses would come. And they would say, delicious, delicious. Oh, how boring.
His savior turns out to be a shapeless alien from outer space. I thought that a new wave nightclub fashion model would be an ideal protagonist for such film. Among Bob Brady's students who befriended Nina and me, there was Anne Carlisle. She was studying fine art in the School of Visual Arts. She was a good actress, good writer, and among other things, she was a nightclub new wave model.
We were all living in a kind of performance art way. The way we were was a creative act. That was our outlet for you know, who we are was a creative act. We had no, it's hard for me to say we, I had no comforts. I was driven to have some kind of creative outlet. So even the way of being was a creative outlet for me. And also I was very adventurous. So I was hungry for trying new things. I was wild. I was wild. And I won't go into detail, but we were all very wild. And there was a lot going on at that club that was, you know, we thought we were creating something new in our behavior.
And seemed to be an ideal actress for the role of the Liquid Sky protagonist Margaret. The description of Margaret's childhood in Liquid Sky is a true-to-life description of Anne's childhood.
You wanted to know where I'm from? I'm from Connecticut. Mayflower stock.
Anne was not just a fashion model, and she was not just studying acting. She was enrolled in the fine art program at the School of Visual Arts.
The milieu in the painting world was minimalism and conceptualism at that time, and I was a painter. So there wasn't a lot of, you know, I didn't feel encouraged by my teachers or by the environment to continue with my painting. So I focused on the acting more, and I immediately started writing things. I wrote something with Bob Brady, and then once I started getting involved in a different milieu, I started going out late at night and got involved in new wave culture, and then I wrote a script that I produced, and it was a Super 8 movie called Fish that I acted in.
You're crazy.
Crazy? I've been thinking lately that I might.
Say, you wanna fuck?
It was a wild time. It was probably the most intense time of my life because everything for me was very dramatic. I didn't have any money, but I didn't really care. I needed creative outlet, and any kind of creative outlet, that was my passion. So I was working on this movie and working in the editing room late at night, spending hours without sustenance, really. I was just driven. And then I met Nina.
I just finished writing the script about a woman for whom it was absolutely impossible to reach orgasm. It was a comedy. And I was not sure about my English, about my dialogues. So I asked Anne to edit it and to work on my dialogues and see if we can, if the dialogues are really American, and we can see, so I can express my ideas, my jokes in English, in the right English. And this work would require some time. So Anne moved into our loft.
Every day, I heard conversations of Nina and Anne on the problems of female orgasm. In my brain, these conversations blended with my ideas on the film to be. First Anne, then Nina, joined me in writing the script for Liquid Sky. I warned them that this project was going to be a very personal one for her. Her real life would be used as pieces of the life of the leading character. She didn't mind. Actually, that idea excited her.
Well, I didn't have a personal life outside of the movie. So the movie was my life, and different phases had different, were different. The writing of the script was a joy, and it was really fun. It was such a great creative release during the shooting for me, to finally see it come to fruition, and the words that we wrote come out of the actors' mouths, and I got to release all that. I was waiting and waiting. You know, there's a lot of waiting on a film set, and then finally I would get to you know, fulfill that creative ambition that I had. It was wonderful.
Bob Brady also agreed to play the part based on his own character.
You were my best student. I invested a lot of time in you.
What are you saying? We spent most of our time in bed.
You're gonna wind up in the hospital with some horrible sexual disease.
Sometimes I'm asked about acting in the film. Is it improvisation? There was no improvisation in front of camera. We were shooting most of the film in real neon light. It is very low light. With a light like that, the depth of focus of camera is like this. If an actor moves an inch, he would be out of focus. No actor can improvise without any movement. But we had many rehearsals putting everything on videotape. All the rehearsals were recorded in the now obsolete Betacam format. So excuse us, please, for the bad quality of the tapes. It was impossible to restore them properly. This is the only tape showing me at the rehearsal. It just happened that this particular tape almost completely disintegrated. It was my idea to make to take the most difficult take. So you need to make all the transition, and you need to characterize, and you need to all together.
I understood so much just from this one scene, though. It's really like she feels so powerless in her relationship with Adrian that she's going and fucking everybody around.
Yeah. Feeling to yourself, to feeling to her. But everybody is against me. You bring in cats here. Everybody's against me. And this big cult was following me, and and after that you look at her and she's trembling, and transition is like, in order to keep your power, you should take care about her as well. So never mind, I'll take some speed, I do it, I'll arrange it all. And then you come to the thought, my God, but you don't understand. That's on me. They would blame me, not you. You're not important. You're just, piece of shit, and they would blame me.
Okay.
We're running.
We're running?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Okay, you are ready? Ready, I'm ready. Yeah.
What the fuck is going on in here? Oh, really? Hey, get up off the couch. What are you sticking my head for? Did you kill him?
No.
You were fucking him, right? Oh, man. No, he died. He died here. You know, I told you not to fuck him. So now you're going to bring the cops up here, right? And then they're going to see all our junk, and we're going to go to prison. Never mind. I'll take some speed. I'll work on the problems. It'll all be gone. Just never mind. You don't understand, man. They're after me. They've been after me for a long time. They want to nail me to the cross. They want to kill me, man. The cops, the junkies. You want to kill me.
When we were writing the script, we used not only characters of our friends actors, Bob's students, but sometimes we even borrowed dialogue from their real-life conversations.
Otto was in class with us, and he's very tall, very, very tall. And I'm not a very tall person, and we were doing an improv one evening in class, and it was the dynamic in the improv between Otto and myself. And in order for me to gain power or control during the improv, I jumped up on a bed that was a part of the set, so that I could be taller, or at least his height. And I said something to him like, "You see, I'm not a shrimp." It was something like that, or, I could be totally making this up, but I think that that's how that happened. And maybe that's how that naturally flowed into the script about shrimp.
Well, that's really quite a world that you show me. Where German scientists are as tall as the Empire State Building. And aliens are as big as jumbo shrimp.
We rehearsed every scene many times, and actors' improvisations even could change text of the scene.
And Slava would take us, there was a Chinese restaurant up the road, and since my character was very much involved with shrimp, it was called the Shrimp Lady, we would go to this Chinese restaurant right here on 15th and 5th and sit down and eat shrimp. and we'd run our lines, and Slava would be sitting there and directing us as if we were actually, you know, doing this film.
Okay, I'd like 2 orders of shrimp fried rice, an order of shrimp and pea pods, an order of shrimp with lobster sauce, and an order of jumbo shrimp.
During the rehearsals, we not only encouraged improvisation, but also we were making a lot of experiments. One example, there are a lot of violent sex scenes in Liquid Sky, but there is no nudity.
That's too good. What's your hurry?
I'll do anything you want. Do you want to hit me?
You are sick.
Sure I am, baby. I've got so many problems with my brain. It's a real pain in the ass.
But before I made the decision to shoot the film this way, we conducted experiments during rehearsals.
All the improvs that we did, even though I played different parts even when somebody couldn't make it. So I would sub in for them and play that part. And that was thrilling. That was exciting to see a different take on that character.
You want me to ruin my career, just like you ruined it, all down the drain. But I'm not going to do that, so I've taken a lot of time and trouble to arrange all these clients to come here to my house. And I've done a lot of work. And you haven't even lifted a finger. You have not lifted one finger to help. You don't like me very much. You should leave, you know. Because you're right, this is my place, and I do pay all the bills. So if you don't like me, you should leave. Or else, you could get up, show me a little self-respect, and I'll come to the party.
And then to see the film and see how the person who was actually cast to play it was playing it different from me, you know, so, or me different from them.
Right. You've ruined your career, now you want to ruin mine. You know I've invited everybody to this. You know how hard I've worked to make everything perfect, and you never even left a finger to help me. Now you want to humiliate me, embarrass me in front of my clients. You want to just prove to everybody that you're a failure, that you take dope, you take drugs, that you've never made any money from any of your films or books or anything that you've ever done, but mainly, you want to humiliate me, that's your point. That I'm such a fool to put up with you. Well, if you don't like me, leave. This is my house. Leave my house. If you don't want to get dressed up and behave like you have some sort of self-respect, you just leave.
And I was like 18. New York was so much fun and wild that I just sort of went out and had first-hand experiences with nightlife and music and art and, you know.
Almost all the small parts were cast with Bob's students, and each actor brought to the film something of his or her own life.
Well, I remember when it showed in Detroit, because I'm from Detroit, I think I literally say in the movie I'm from Detroit.
Where are you from?
Detroit.
Las Vegas.
Kremlin, Montana.
We met Otto von Werner during the casting of a previous film. He wasn't an actor, but he joined Bob's class and became one.
Well, what have you got?
Oh, this is for you. This is what I drink.
That's the line Otto pronounced when he first time visited Nina and me. Nina studied acting in Russia, but she also joined Bob's class and also got a role close to her own character.
Slava announced all of a sudden that I'm going to play the character in this long scene. and pretty important character. And I said to Slava, do you remember that I am the producer and I have lots and lots of things to do? And he said, okay, find a replacement, no problem. So I was trying to find someone, and I brought like 1, 2, 3, about 7 girls. And for each one, I get an answer, no, no, and no. All right. So finally, at the last no, the shooting was scheduled, and I had to say yes.
Ready? Calm down, darlings. I've got some cocaine for you, and I don't want any bickering. We are going to have a marvelous time.
Let's go. What for? Let's go.
Once Anne told me that when she was a little girl, her mother used to dress her as a boy and call her Jimmy. So one night we dressed Anne in my clothes, went to a nightclub, and everybody mistook her for a boy. That gave me the idea to give Anne a second role, Jimmy. Nevertheless, a lot of make-up tests were made before the final image of Jimmy was found. Even the smallest role in the film was cast with a person whose character was closest to the part.
Yeah, you had a story that you mentioned in the intro that you were going to elaborate about your what you said to your cast when we were dropping some harsh language on stage. You were saying,
You really want to know that?
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot.
Let's do it.
Okay, the line was, suck my cunt, you asshole. And actually, who couldn't, actors who couldn't pronounce this line were not good for the film.
Let me put it a different way. When did you decide that you were really actually classified as a punk?
Suck my cunt, asshole.
Oh, I'd like to ask you a question. It's a philosophical or aesthetical one. To me it is, at least. I think it's really interesting.
The voice you hear is the voice of Bob Brady.
Show I'm doing is I really try to find out, when the moment came when you decided that you were classified, or at least you classified yourself as a, new wave, or at least that you were a punk.
Suck my cunt, asshole.
I see. I'd like to ask you, let me put it this way. There must have been some moment when you decided that technically you were allied to the punks and you yourself were a punk. When was that?
Suck my cunt, asshole.
Yeah, say one to the side there this way. That's great. Okay. Well, let me ask you something. When did you decide you were a punk?
Suck my cunt, asshole.
I remember being on the rooftop, listening to the dialogue, like, cluck, cluck, said the chicken woman, this pussy has teeth, thinking, what the hell? What is this movie? This'll never see the light of day. This is crazy. But, boy, was I wrong.
As Anne played two characters, Margaret and Jimmy, we needed doubles who, in frames where both characters are presented, would stand for Margaret's back when Anne is Jimmy, and stand for Jimmy's back when Anne is Margaret. The double for Margaret was Melissa Deadman, who was a singer back then, and now we couldn't find her. The double for Jimmy was Jeff Most, now is a Hollywood producer, who is mostly known for producing such films as Crow and Specialist.
I was a 20-year-old NYU film student. I saw an ad on a board, bulletin board, for a production assistant. And wasn't a high-paying job. It was $10 a day. And I was very anxious to see if I could get the job. I got it. Remember on my first day, we were shooting a scene with Anne Carlisle outside, and part of my first day's work was to hold an umbrella over her and block some sunshine. And I really tried to get myself noticed and do whatever I could to the best of my ability. I was first PA, production assistant, in the morning and last out in the evening. And everyone on the crew seemed to notice how hard I was working. And I'll never forget the day when Slava and Nina came to me and said that the double for Anne Carlisle, who was going to play the role of Jimmy, got cast in another movie, and we need to shoot him right away. And would I consider being a double, being a stuntman, and playing the role of Jimmy when Anne was being her female self, because she played both the male and female roles. And I said yes. I was very excited. They offered me $300 to bleach my hair and do the role. And so I had this, I think, very unique experience of all of a sudden, switching sides from the crew to the cast, which I try to continue my work as a crew member and do the stunt work and double work. But I did both, and that was I think I was the only one on the crew who was on the crew full time and a member of the cast at that point. And it was every day was just a new and exciting, kind of groundbreaking experience. I have so many wonderful memories of not only the filmmaking process, but the camaraderie on the cast and crew. It really was one big family, and I don't think I could have been launched into my career as a filmmaker with any better experience than I had on Liquid Sky.
The models for the fashion show were real New Wave models, the members of La Rocca Fashion Agency. They were popular all over the world. Posters with their images were covering walls of the Tokyo subway, and Carlisle was one of them. The agency was created and headed by the artist Nicky Carson. In the film, he played himself.
Listen up. Getting restless? Let's start the show.
In 1970s, Nicky was one of the most controversial artists.
Well, there was a point after I was doing the performances that I was asked to do a show at the Joe Guiducci Gallery. And that meant I needed to make an object. I always wanted, I was performing and dancing around, singing Don't Rain on My Parade, different other things in galleries. But I decided I wanted to do a performance that ended up with an object. And so I was able to do that with director realism, which is quite simply you take a brush or a Pentel and you put it in your butt and you paint people. And I painted Andy Warhol and a few other people. Very, very hard to do, but my whole concern was really to capture the person. So I was very serious about it.
To create the style of costumes for the film was a special task.
My education, I'm a fashion designer, so I was looking at the costumes in the film. It came kind of natural. I was looking because it's almost like a fashion collection for me. No. And it's wedding dress later on. It's kind of it's almost perfect fashion collection ending. I went to a lot of thrift shops and bought tons of different colorful old clothing, and I was gluing costumes together because we didn't have time to sew it. I didn't have anyone to help me to do it. It was only one person who was helping me. A lot of colorful gaffer tapes. So I would cut costumes, I would cut these pieces and put it together and glue it with gaffer tape. So practically all costumes was built right in front of the shot, and especially fashion show. Punks at this time was very colorful themselves and very intricately dressed, but we wanted to make it a little bit more stylized, a little bit more over the top. We didn't want to mimic them, we want to make them even more interesting.
I decided to deal with the image of the film the same way as I dealt with the cast, to use the best I had. At that moment, Yuri Neyman, the DP, who was my friend for many years, had just immigrated to US from Russia.
I became cinematographer, so-called amateur cinematographer, when I was 14 years old, and I met Slava in Society of Filmmakers Amateurs in Moscow, where I was 15 and Slava was older. He was already in film school.
Yuri was a member of Children Amateur Filmmaking Group, headed by my friend. This friend invited me once to see work of his 15-year-old genius student. It was Yuri.
He worked as a cinematographer until young cinematographer before film school for like 3-4 years. And then I entered film school, and I shot about 6 films in Russia before I immigrated.
In my films, I always made all the special effects myself.
During my years as young filmmakers and in film school, I always paid very special attention to special effects. I like special effects, and I see them as very important tool in toolkit of cinematographer.
So I decided that we can make something very unusual, a visually and special effect-oriented low-budget film.
Even with our low budget, our purpose was not make it look like a very high budget, but we'd like to film looks very expressive, which is usually not happening very often in low budget film. So we decided to use combination of some new technology, which I find out doing my research, and this technology was used on NASA like 10 years before we made the film. So I found the people who had access to this, and they let us use it. Plus my knowledge of color serialization, which I did a lot in the Soviet Union. And we combined these two technologies, plus a little bit laser technology, which was really in the very beginning when we did this film. This way we were able to create this very visually interesting scenes of the death in the film.
Ideas of the film's makeup also were born before the script was written.
You know, the scene at the end of the 70s, downtown in the club was becoming very creative. There was a whole kind of like night club civilization, and people were expressing themselves mostly with their clothes, but also with makeup.
They're going to turn me into a robot.
ask you a few questions? Your photographs that Adrian was just showing me indicate a fairly traditional upbringing, yet you seem to have veered off towards some obscure fantasy look.
New York in the late 70s, early 80s, it was rocketing. I mean, it was a wild time in New York, a good time to be in New York. That was before AIDS. People were doing drugs openly. It was socially acceptable. I mean, it was just, we had a lot of fun back then, and anything went. That's what I remember. It was some of the best years of my life. There were no boundaries, and everything was new and different and changing, like from 1 month to the next, what the next new thing was.
And she was the perfect canvas. The androgyny, the quality of the skin, the features to adjust, and I started to paint her.
Our makeup artist, Marcel Fivet, also played himself in Liquid Sky.
So it's all set, Margaret. We'll come over tomorrow night. You're not supposed to be in here.
It feels good.
Yeah, it should.
The main locations also were chosen before the script was written. We wanted to create a symbolic space in this penthouse where neon signs would be reflected in several mirrors.
Slava is one of those unusual directors who consider interior as a very alive element, very important element. It's not just mere background behind the actors. So we were talking about it, how to make this apartment, which we were shooting practically whole film in one apartment. It's like whole film happening there. How to make it not boring, how to make it alive, how to help attitude of the scene, how to help to keep feeling of the scenes. So what we decided to do, I painted walls semi-reflective silver color, and all elements of the background, all elements of interior was done in 3 different colors. For night it was dark purple. For early morning it was a kind of very moody turquoise, dark turquoise. For daylight it was yellow or posters was done in 3 different colors, curtains, bedspreads, clothing on the hanger. Everything was in 3 different colors, so you don't really see it's changing color, but it's definitely changing mood of the scene.
The apartment doesn't exist anymore. The building was reconstructed. But beneath the building there is a subway station, and for some reason on the walls of the station an artist had depicted a UFO landing. Most of Liquid Sky locations, restaurants and nightclubs, don't exist anymore. In this building in Union Square, Andy Warhol's factory occupied the top floor. Later, for a while, there was a statue of Andy near the building. This is my selfie with Andy. On the first floor and in the basement of the building, there was underground disco, one of the Liquid Sky locations. Now it is a Petka store.
Oh, wow, these two are active. They're playing. You want to play? Hey. You're going to be a big boy. I can tell. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Many of the members of Liquid Sky cast are not around anymore. Debbie Jacobs Welsh was a stewardess. As a purser, Debbie made announcements and directed other attendants on the fateful Flight 93, the plane that crashed on September 11, 2001 in the Pennsylvania field, killing all on board. She wasn't scheduled to fly that morning, but had traded shifts with a coworker. She earned the moniker, the Little Apostle of the airline. Bob Brady died in 2008. Stanley Knapp in 2014. Roy MacArthur died from AIDS. Nobody knows what happened with Otto Werner. Also, we couldn't locate Paula Shepard. But spirit of Liquid Sky is obviously still alive.